Thor reacts to FEUERSCHWANZ. I know, guys, this is gonna sound unbelievably crazy, right? I have never actually listened to folk metal before in my life. German or Swedish or Norwegian or whatever, right? But I'm here, guys, after my electric call, people say, you have to check out the course, the true Nordic kind of music style. And I actually heard about it, but I actually don't think I ever heard. I never heard about this band before. I never heard about this kind of, even this genre. Even though I kind of understand it exists, you know what I mean? So I feel just like, yeah, we have to check it out. So I have genuinely never listened to or seen, like seriously, it's the first time ever, guys, I'm doing like a folk metal video, right? Which again, sounds like to be perfect for me, right? Sitting ready with my goddamn hammer. And of course, it's my name alone. I will check out here, Berserk, right? Berzerkermode. I think they call it what? Berserk mode, but I call it Berserk, so I pronounce it right. Also, of course, the best manga of all time. Yeah, it sounds kind of weird. Side note for that matter, many years ago, I made a video talking about Thorgal, right? Which is, of course, the greatest comic book of all time. It's a Belgian comic, and I usually say it's Berserk of European comics, okay? Have you read it? I highly recommend Thorgal. I think it's by far the greatest comic of all time, especially if you're into Viking stuff as well. Of course, I'm not a Viking guy, obviously. Just like me, yeah. Amazing stuff. But anyway, subscribe, let's check it out. Yeah, it was a crazy starter, because I genuinely never heard it before. Let's see how it goes. So, I mean, I do like German music overall, right? So, and again, obviously Jesus, of course.
Berzerkermode. Muskeln, Schweiß und Bärte sind seit neuestem gefragt. Maskuline Härte und die alte Lebensart.
Okay, immediately, okay. God damn it, okay, immediately. I love this so much. That the guy's doing like big presses, you know. He's like, he got like a German, he got like an old school Scandinavian, like a German barbaristic, you know. Yeah, old school style to do bench, man. Oh, I love it. Look, obviously the visuals, the visuals are amazing. And yeah, I mean, I love everything I see so far. Jesus Christ, man! Immediately, the visual screams to me. But I mean, I like it, right? I like when it's bigger and grander and so on. Absolutely. And aside of the course, for he was drinking in the beginning called mjöl, right? Yeah, pronounce it with me, guys. Mjöl. That's like beer, Swedish, and it's an sound, right? And for that matter, of course, this thing is called mjölner and not mjolni, right? It's also in the movies or whatever, knows Mjölnär, right? An E and I stand there. But let's keep going.
Jeder schaut nach Norden, jeder Schwanz, jeder Lauch. Plündern, rauben, morden ist seit heute wieder Brauch. Aufgepumpte Krieger kämpfen gegen Winterspeck. Jeder ist ein Sieger, maskulines Ragnarök. Aufgespannten Adern werden Runen tätowiert.
Yeah, this is pathetic. This makes sense. It's perfect sense. See, this is why we love it. Look at that. Look at his waifus, man. Yeah, of course. Okay, I love this bit the most. I love this bit the most, right? With Jesus, of course, Ben's pressuring, the hostages are helping him out, right? Oh, this is awesome. This fits super. Like I said, I love the visuals. Now, we're talking about more than with the music later in the videos, whatever. But this whole bit, right? They go down, like this whole, like, kind of the chorus bit. I like the stuff, and I would say that does, for me, feels really folky, right? Folk songy. And I think about it because, so I grew up, right, in Sweden and Norway. So I am half, right? I'm Hambu, right? And Hafu. And when we come to that, right? It's like, this sounds a lot like a lot of the Norwegian and Swedish music I grew up with, especially during Christmas. So this, I'm of course with now here in last October, right? So that's kind of like, yes, you hear very similar kind of musical lyrics and melodies, very similar melodies, especially in a bunch of like Christmas songs, like Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian. Very similar. I signed up for that matter, guys. Talk about being Pang Hafu. That's what I haven't read it too much. But I'm sure everyone's up to date with the whole of ZAPDOG and posted that woman called Valkyria, right? Which is some, you know, obviously based on, again, hospitality. So yesterday, her talking about this audio streaming being too white or whatever, right? And obviously I follow that stuff. I think it's ridiculous. The whole thing is just incredibly embarrassing. ZAPDOG obviously had to talk whatever, right? I digress. The point is that I just find it so funny because someone attacked me this morning, right? Someone got angry that I was being like, well, she's clearly a racist, clearly hates people, whatever, right? And they're like, how can you say that she's half white? Like, I'm also half, you know? I'm half Swedish, I'm half Norwegian, right? I mean, my dad is Norwegian citizen, my mom is Swedish, okay? I'm also half, okay? No, but I just want to throw it out there, guys. Because I assume that most people, right, they watch the video will be Germans, right? You know, smash if you're German, right? Spy if you're German, guys. I just find it so funny. I just want to be very clear. I find it so funny every time I see this drama, right, happening in America. Because for us, right, for us Europeans, we don't see the thing at all, right, you know. I think for Americans, right, it's very much black and white, you know, pun intended, right. But for us Europeans, like, no, I'm Germanic, right? We're kind of from like, oh, I'm from Sweden, Norway, Germany, Austria, so on. We're this kind of group, right? Yeah. We look at like Italians like there's more race. You know what I mean? Like we see some guy from Greeks being like, I mean, I guess it's kind of, yeah, like that's kind of how Europeans, right? Different European countries are very, very divided, right? So I find the whole drama, right, with ZAPDOG and his allies, right? I find it so funny. Again, from my person growing up in like, I mostly grew up in Sweden and Norway and a little bit of like Brussels and Paris, right? Mostly. Seeing that from that perspective, right? You're kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? And for us it's completely, you know, it is so weird. Anyway, I don't want to read the video, but it feels so weird. Like, look how much agree with me. But it feels like we have a very, very different viewpoint, right? She's the strongest? Yeah, she got the wife of Basket, I love it. Oh, yeah. Oh, they're gonna like crucify him? He's too weak. Yeah, he's too weak. So this bit feels very like a Christmas song, yeah. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna laugh too much for this video. But that was dark, right? That was just dark because it says CrossFit on the cross stripe because of the cross. Yeah, I like it. Okay, it's very dark comedy. Yeah, it's very dark comedy. It's a lot of you know, Schadenfreude. I guess it's very German. Yeah. You know, as a side note, you know my favorite scene, right, in American Dad with Klaus, right? Obviously, Klaus the fish, best character. It's a scene, right, when Roger is being tortured with this like weird milk machine. Yeah, it's a weird scene, right? So Roger is like some kind of weird pregnant alien thing, and they're drinking his milk, and then Klaus keeps making it worse every day for Roger. And Roger asks him like, "Oh, why do you do this to me, Klaus? Stop helping Stan torture me." And he's like, "I'm German, yes, Schadenfreude, I'm German." That's a kind of revenge for some early episode, right? He's just like, "Yeah, that's right, get it back at you." For that mess, I of course, Schadenfreude. It's called skadeglädje in Swedish, and I hate Germans, okay? Other context, no, but I really do hate how Schadenfreude has become this huge thing, right? Everyone says in English, and sure, culturally speaking, Schadenfreude is a big thing in German, you know, in Germanic, right? Language, so on, and culture, but skadeglädje is much bigger, like seriously. I would say that like 90% of Swedish comedy is skadeglädje. Like, again, sure, like Schadenfreude is bigger, like in Germany compared to like USA or whatever, right? But it is truly a ridiculous thing in Sweden. Like, there's no other country in the world that is as much focused on skadeglädje or Schadenfreude as Swedish culture. Everything, right? The culture, the jokes, all the TV shows, like Lyxfälla, where they're making fun of people doing stupid economical stuff, making fun of your neighbors. Like, Sweden is so much a country where it's about, like, the Swedish dream, right? Okay, let me explain to you. Okay, this is perfect moment here, guys. Subscribe, okay, I'm gonna explain to you now then. Thor will explain to you the perfect Swedish dream, okay? And this is literally, I'm not making a joke, this is literally the ultimate Swedish, like, Svensson-livet, or the Swedish dream explaining, okay? The Swedish dream is to have a nice house, right? Like a big villa, okay? And you have a wife, and you have 3 kids, right? However, your house is not the biggest on the street, okay? It's the second biggest, right? And your wife, she's hot, okay? She's 9 out of 10 hot, like freaking wife, big, Ingrid, right, But the neighbor's wife is hotter too, right, You drive a nice car, but the neighbor drives a slightly nicer car, right? Now, you can complain about the neighbor all the time, right? And everything your neighbor does wrong, right? You can have skadeglädje, right? Schadenfreude, and make fun of them, and be happy about that, right? That is a true Swedish dream. Not joking, genuinely, this is the perfect Swedish dream, right? You don't want to be number 1 on the street, right? You want to be number 2, so you can complain about someone else, And you can hate on them, right? Every day you go on vacation, you can say, oh, this guy is so spoiled or whatever, yeah. So you want to have it really, really good, but you don't want to be the best, right? You want to be the second best, okay? That's a true Swedish dream. Let's keep going here. Yeah, now it turned into German. Yeah, now it's German. So first of all, obviously they converted Jesus, right, to their side. Yeah, they made Jesus become into an Asgardian Viking. Clearly, right? He got the hair for that after all, right? As a side note, some people actually called me Jesus in high school, yeah. 'Cause I had like the exact classic Jesus look when I was younger, right? I mean, I had his hair and so on. Absolutely. That was one of the nicknames I had. One of the cool nicknames as well. But seriously, yeah. And it started, this is a true story, started. So I'm 14, right? And I'm in the showers, sounds like a great city, yeah, but it's true. So I was 14, we're in the showers after gym class, right? And as you may know, right, in Sweden, when you're in the gym class, everyone is, in the birthday suit, right? So I was standing there, right, taking a shower, and I had, my beautiful long hair. I think I had around roughly the same length I have now. And I was standing there in the shower, right, and all the guys were entering, right, because we're showering together, everyone. And then the light hit me, like we had these like windows, right? The light hit me but the windows were smaller windows because it's a shower room, right? So the windows were kind of up in the sky almost, kind of upward angled, like just at like the edge of where the ceiling meets the wall, right? So the light hits me in my face, and I'm standing there, and I'm just like doing my hair, you know what I mean? I'm doing my hair, so my hairbrush here, I'm doing my hair, kind of like, right in the light. It's like perfect timing. Everyone enters, and one of my classmates, which is called Ulf, as his nickname, he was like, that is Jesus. He was like, that looks like Jesus! He looks exactly like Jesus! He started screaming that. Then I got that nickname for like a year or so, yeah. He was like, my God, it's exactly like Jesus! I said, yeah, he was screaming it. And he was called, his real name is the Aslan. But yeah, people call him Ulf, which is like Ulf or Ulf there, which is like Swedish for wolf, of course, right? The old name for wolf is Ulv, right? Kind of similar to the female wolf is Ylva, right? That's the name for that. So on. They of course call it varg, but the old name used to be Ulf or Ulv. So he was Ulv then. That was like his nickname, because he's like a very aggressive sporter. He's a jock basically, right? But yeah, let's go back in the video here. This is when the video goes really German, right? This is when it touches into like a German video. This is when I feel like I'm in Germany now. No, but seriously, I would say that the first bit, right? I don't know, the first 80% maybe then this could have been in, you know, whatever, right? Midsommar or something like that. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like it's necessarily German, so to speak, right? Except of course music, but like the visuals. But this moment here, this just feels very Germany, right? I've been in a lot of Germany, and this feels like the classic, you know, nightclub in Germany. Yeah, everyone has the girls that start. Yeah, this feels like the parties in Germany, and I do think that Germany is very famous though. This is where I'm coming from for its nightlife, right? It's Euromix and its party places. And talking about from my growing up, then how has been these things? So we have a lot of like, how not to get banned on YouTube? No, but they're very commenting, right? The people do where I'm from is to actually go to Germany to buy alcohol, to buy liquor, yeah. I mean, of course it's legal, so you go to Germany and you get your whole car filled with liquor, right? And then you drive back to like Sweden and Norway and so on. And there is of course some laws how much you can import, of course. But it's so much cheaper doing that. So a lot of Swedes will drive down to like Germany, or of course take a ferry, right, to Germany. Or, well, where I'm from, you take the ferry usually to Denmark there, right? You buy to Denmark. But some people will take the ferry to Denmark and drive to Germany and buy and so on. It's very, very common. So I think from, in like a Swedish perspective, Germany is very famous for its like crazy nightlife and the drinking and so on, right? Because a lot of us go down there because you party in Germany, right, for like a weekend, and then you drive back again, right, with the car filled with alcohol. It's like a super common thing. That being said, though, a lot of Norwegians will drive to Sweden, of course, to buy alcohol. so it goes like, you know, it's like a stepping, you know, it's like a staircase. And the reasons are kind of plentiful, but I guess the easiest way to explain it is actually taxation, most and foremost. Yeah. So in Norway, the tax is very, very high on what's called luxury products, right? So especially tobacco is very, very highly taxed, and candy is one in Norway, extremely highly taxed. Our friends with a family that is very, very rich, like really wealthy, okay? Because they have this candy land. They have this like candy. They own several candy stores at like the border of Sweden and Norway. They're very, very wealthy. I mean, me talking like $100 million. They're semi-wealthy, selling candy to Norwegians. so it's, and I have another friend that owns like a meat, sells meat to this one. So basically, especially for Norway, the tax is incredibly high on anything like food related, anything, even more so of course on tobacco and candy and alcohol, but also food, right? And of course in Norway it's very known meme that everyone just eats smørrebrød, right? They just eat the sandwich instead of eating like actual food for lunch, right? Which when we go to Norway, you always be fun of them. I actually have a trip to Norway next week, but it might be cancelled. But yeah, going to Oslo. I'm going to Oslo for like 1 day. It's like a super annoying trip, not for like 2 days. Yeah, like it's like fly in, fly out, basically. Perhaps, maybe it's cancelled though. But anyway, let's put this fourth bit here. This bit here, yeah. This feels like it could be any like. Yeah, that bit to me just feels like it could be. That's where again, I'm genuinely never really listened to folk metal. I didn't know what's a thing, right? Okay? You have to understand, right, that even though I am the most Viking Thor guy who has ever lived the real Thor, right, so to speak, I have lived 10 years like in Japan, basically, right? I lived 10 years with anime, with this J-rock, you know, right? You have to understand this, okay? I'm completely oblivious of this stuff, kind of comedically oblivious to some extent to this stuff, honestly, right? To European music, even though I grew up with this kind of music, right? That's the weird thing, right? I grew up with this music so much through my parents, right? And my dad, he looks like a real. My dad always knows he should be playing in there. My dad has hair down to the ground almost. He got beard like this, right? And he's very tall. I'm tall, but my father he's like 2 meters. He's very, very tall. And also, of course, he's a massive size guy, man. So he weighs like 200 kilograms. He's like a giant, man. And my mom is only like 6. Yeah, why am I so short for? I always hate that, man. I was short, of course. Like, I'm much taller than the average person. But it's like, my mom is tall too for a woman. My mom is like 6 feet, 108 centimeters, right? So, like, 179, yeah. So she's like 6 feet. And yet I'm shorter than my dad, Jesus Christ, man. Because my grandma, she's way shorter than my mom. What happened there? What happened there, guys? Seriously, what happened there? Right? How am I shorter than my father? Sure, my father is very tall. He's like, really tall, right? But I'm shorter because my mom is really tall for a woman too, right? So both my parents are tall, and yet I am somehow shorter than my father, right? I'm obviously taller than my mom, like clearly taller than my mom, but it's like not decimeter, right? But yeah, like I should be at least 1 more decimeter. And I hate the evolution. Anyway. Talking about this part brings me to again the family, right? Listen to this music. It does, I keep saying it does really remind me of Christmas, right? This just sounds like a Christmas song to me, yeah. Like that's what I hear the most here. Leave a comment below if I'm right or not, but that's what I keep hearing, right? But maybe that's just how I grew up, right? Because you don't listen to like we don't listen to classic, I suppose, right? Traditional Scandinavian music or whatnot, right? Germanic music, normally, so to speak, right? We all listen to it during like Christmas and Midsummer, right? Midsummer, of course, is like 6 months, after or before I look at it. So that's kind of the only time I listen to it, right? So when I hear this music, I keep thinking about like Christmas Eve. Go back a bit here again, this bit here. Yeah, I just keep thinking about. Yeah, I just keep thinking about Christmas Eve. Like it comes. It's something I keep thinking about, right? And that being said, though, in Sweden, Christmas Eve is a classic thing where you go to your family and your grandpa and grandma and all your uncles and aunts and all your cousins, right? And it tends to be a lot of singing too. To make it very clear here, it tends to be a lot of singing. You sit down and you eat food and you sing for like 6 hours, right? Because you eat food and you sing, because we have this called julbord, which is the greatest thing of all time, right? Christmas table, you have like 500 meatballs, whatever. Right? You eat, you sing. It's a very classic, like Viking thing, genuinely like a classic, like old school Scandinavian thing, right? Because you eat a lot during the cold winter, right? And then you sit there and sing. And it kind of comes back to my mind because you basically eat, you sing, you talk a little bit, eat, you sing. That's how Christmas Eve is for like 4 or 5 hours, right? At least in my family, and obviously my family does it the correct way. Everyone else is wrong, obviously. So it's like, it's a lot like that, right? And the same thing in Norway too, as well. Absolutely. And then my mom has the worst Norwegian taste ever. One thing that's very strange, maybe it's just a greens, almost grasser, is that my mom is really into like some really annoying Norwegian, like old school music to have on, and my father hates it, even though he's the one that lives in Norway, she lives in Sweden. He has like nothing of that. And he's more into Swedish music, maybe just the green. Yeah, I live there. It's like the cross the border thing, something like that. That's what I can think about at least. Definitely. Back a bit. Now, from a visual standpoint, obviously I already mentioned it several times, but yeah, it's a really funny. It's a great music video. I love it. He's like, this is obviously Jesus Christ. He's coming in here, right? So I tried to like Christianize these poor Vikings. It's gonna come in there. This is around like 1,000 years ago, rough speaking, right? Yeah, it's like around the millennium shift here. So Christianity started coming into Scandinavia and so on. So he's coming up here, and they're like, "Yeah, you're too weak, man. You're too weak. Yeah, you're gonna have to go to this like a Viking gym." So the whole thing was great, and obviously the whole CrossFit thing was hilarious. They put him on the cross, and he's doing like the rope thing, right? That they have in the gym. I love that. I love it so much. I mean, honestly, right? I listen to the music twice now. This editing is happening, whatever. And it's just like, yeah, the first time I listened to it, I was laughing a lot. I think I had like pause laugh breaks because I have to say that I almost like, what are they singing? I don't know. I'm just laughing at the visuals. Like I'm just losing focus on the music. But when I review music videos, I always say this thing, I have three criteria, and I think the visuals and the storytelling is as important as the music for a music video. And this is obviously 10 out of 10, like storytelling. Yeah, it's hilarious, and I love it. Yeah, so that's a really, really good. Now, another great part of the visual is, of course, the act. Yeah, no, I see people. I have something I like with this music video. There is something good with this, definitely something positive. There's a lot of oppies in this thing. It's great. That's really, really great. That's awesome. And I like when bands are, how I say it, I don't know what to call it. This is a language barrier. No, not really. This is more like, what would you call it? I'm apologetic, maybe? Yeah, probably the best word I can think of it. Which is kind of like, no, we're doing Viking music, so we're going to have like a bunch of hot chicks with big muskets, right? Yeah, we're going to have a bunch of bodybuilders in the music video. Yeah, it just feels great. Honestly, it feels great. I love this stuff, I love old school, Viking stuff, barbaric stuff, so to speak. Yeah, but no, but seriously, right? I'm gonna sound like an old angry man, right? But I wish that Scandinavia and Germany so on was more, following this stuff. Yeah, it just feels kind of funny, right? Because it feels like no one ever talks about nothing that happened like the last 1,000 years in Sweden, right? Everyone keeps talking about the Vikings were badass, and then no one ever mentioned anything else since then, right? Even though the Swedish Empire was badass, I mean, after all, we conquered part of Germany and, committed some... pretty smashed, but smash that like button, guys, if you're a fans of when Germany was taken over by Sweden. That was some good old times, man! That was some good old times. So if you don't know the context here, right? Sweden liberated Germany during the 30-year-old war, also called, of course, the League Wars, right? It's in the 17th century, and Sweden then was called, this is the Swedish Empire era. So we went down there with Lion of the North, right? Protecting the German Protestant League from the evil Catholic League of southern Germany, mostly Austria, right? So, obviously Swedes are known as the heroes of the 30-year-old war, as any German, especially those people in Böhmen, which of course is in the German place, is Czechoslovakia. No. Yeah, especially those Böhmen people in Prague, they definitely like the Swedes. I'm probably gonna cast it now, this will be awesome. Leave a comment below if you like the history. No, but I'll say lesson, guys, okay? My grandfather was a professor of history, a professor of math, okay, and science. I grew up with my grandparents. My grandma was a language teacher, and I grew up with them every summer because they were, of course, had summer break, right? And basically had my own lectures, right? So, like, I was forced to say that I am literally like the best historian on YouTube, like straight up. I could easily make a YouTube history channel instead. No, but seriously. Leave a comment below if you want more of this stuff, okay? Because I'm gonna dwell on a lot of history, okay? Next time we do another Viking meta video, then I talk about more of the Viking historic area. Half the videos will be me talking about Viking historic stuff instead. Anyway, see you guys and have a great day.